I just need someplace sunny, airy, doesn't have to be big. I live alone, but I just need space to create and to cook because that's my happy place. And he said, well, why don't you come down? We'll go skiing and look at some houses. 2 days later, we meet and check out this place in Tethrow, which we're actually both in right now. Justin's in the living room. We're going to go chip around after this call, but we looked at 3 spots and right away I was like, I like Justin. He's got nothing to hide. There's no agenda.
But this is my house, Mommy. The one I asked Mr. Kringle for. It is. I know it is.
Welcome to The Pursuit of Home, coming to you from New York City. This is real people buying real estate and their unique journey to get there. We share the tips, tricks, and frameworks to help you navigate the bumps in the road that you won't see on reality TV or social media, and which no one has talked about until now. These are the emotional, psychological, ethical, and even spiritual challenges you're more than likely to encounter yourself. Learn from experts who've been there and hang out with me, Scott Harris, your host, who's helped thousands of people buy homes in Manhattan over the last 2 decades. Welcome to The Pursuit of Home, where we explore what it really means to find and create a place to call home. Today, we're speaking with Justin Scott, a real estate broker with Varsity Real Estate on the west side of America in Oregon, I believe, and his buyer, Adam Kingman. He has a fascinating story. This is a fascinating story of career reinvention and what it's like to buy a home when you, as a buyer, have a clear vision of what you're looking for. But we're going to get into it. You know, Justin actually ran Addie Mac's ice cream business in Bend, Oregon, and then made the leap into real estate and quickly found success in helping buyers just like Adam find their dream homes. We're going to dive into this unique story from ice cream to real estate, and also Adam's first home buying experience. Well, not his first home buying experience, but actually Justin's first deal in real estate, and how Justin's experience in team building and relationships really shaped the way that he approaches real estate. So Justin, Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Justin, you made a pretty unique career shift going from owning and operating an ice cream business to becoming a real estate broker. What motivated you to transition from the food industry to this crazy world of real estate?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking. There's a little more going on there. I still actually have the ice cream company, and we do private catering at for weddings and things at a lot of the resorts here in Central Oregon. But I spent 20 years working in the nonprofit space for an organization called Young Life. So July of last year, 2024, was 20 years with Young Life, and then landed the plane on that in the fall and shifted into real estate. And, you know, Young Life's all about relationships. And so real estate has felt like a real natural extension of what I was already doing with people, just connecting, building relationships. And that's actually how I got connected with Adam, was through a friendship and a relationship of a kid that I met when he was in high school. He's a friend of Adam's up where they're living in Washington State.
And that organization helps younger people kind of get themselves sorted out. Does that sound about right?
That's a good way to put it. You know, being young is hard. There's challenges. So yeah, helping young people figure out how to find their way in life, loving on them, encouraging them, walking alongside of them, being a friend in their life, another voice that's, you know, not mom and dad, that's with them and for them.
That actually is a good description of what real estate agents do, actually. You know, being a friend and not being that annoying voice of your parent who thinks they know what's best for you, but actually ends up getting in the way. That is a lot of what real estate's about. Now, I want to hear the story of how Adam found his home, because what makes it neat here is that this was your very first deal as a real estate agent, right? So can you tell us that story?
Yeah, you want Adam to start, or would you like me to go?
Adam, why don't you start? I know you were making a move from another location and coming in to find a home in Bend where Justin's working. Is that right?
That's right. I was living in Seattle, so new to Bend, new to owning a home. And I'm trying to think of the origin of where this story begins. And I'll try to keep it concise, but I grew up in Tahoe on the Nevada side, and then went to college at the University of Washington. So I was in a new city, new place, and the dorms were full, and I joined a fraternity, and my fraternity brother's like, hey, will you cut my hair? I said, no. I don't know how to cut your hair. I don't know how to cut anybody's hair. And he looked me in the eye and he's like, if anybody can figure it out, it's probably you. Just here's some scissors. I was like, okay. So I just started cutting everybody's hair on the front porch. And one of those guys happened to be my buddy Brian. And I cut Brian's hair, taught him how to cut my hair. And 14 years later, Brian has a barbershop in his basement and he's still cutting my hair. And I was getting a haircut from him and he's like, yo, AK, what are you doing? What's good? I'm like, I think I'm over Seattle. It's time to move. Something new, maybe Bend. I don't know. And he goes, oh, well, I got a great buddy, realtor in Bend. I'll have him reach out. And by the time I got in my car, Justin was calling.
All right. So we've set the table and now I think we need to pass the baton to Justin. So Justin, you've made this adjustment. Okay. So you have the ice cream business. So you've got that going. You're still, you haven't landed the plane yet with the work you're doing with young people. So it sounds like organizationally, you've got some skill, relationships, you've got some skill, real estate, you're new. And what did that look like? You've got this guy, Adam, coming in to look at some places in a town that you probably know better than he does. But how did you get confident? How did you help Adam get confident to make some decisions on his side? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I like Adam said, I picked up the phone and called him in December. So if you go back to the fall, October is when I took the real estate licensing exam and passed that. November is when I worked on getting aligned with the great brokerage, Varsity, Go Varsity, and the guys there and the team, and really had an active license kind of starting in December. So I think I probably called Adam about a day or two after my license had been activated with the brokerage. And Brian obviously cut Adam's hair and sent me a message. Hey, my friend Adam's interested in some houses in Bend. He wants to see some. He might be coming down. So I immediately called him and just said, hey, I heard you're coming to Bend and I'd love to work with you and show you some houses. What are you interested in seeing? And Adam he had an idea what he wanted to see. So that was really helpful. One house in particular. And then we looked at a few others. So I, sent him a buyer broker agreement. We looked at 3 houses on the Monday before Christmas. Adam knew what he wanted and we wrote an offer on one and we got it under contract on New Year's Eve, January 31st. And it closed December 31st, New Year's Eve. We got it the house under contract. And then it closed on January 30th. And I mean, our director of operations and our transaction coordinator were letting me know this is really unusual to have a transaction this smooth. So I was grateful for that. But there was a moment actually when Adam came to Bend. He was with a friend at his friend's house, staying there. And I showed up like brand new realtor guy, like here I am. And I was really genuine. I was like, this is like you're the first person I've ever worked with. I think it came out, maybe not like that, but just like I told him, like, his friend might have asked me, how long have you been doing this? And I was like, I'm brand new. Like today is like my first day. And like, you're the first person I'm going to help buy a house. And they're like, okay. And, Adam and I got in the car and looked at a few houses and we lingered a bit, had a couple of old fashions, at Tethero, which, is a great spot. And, so 3 houses, 2 old fashions, and we wrote an offer.
Amazing. I know it's not even a question that's like lurking in the background, but really in the front of people's minds. You don't have to be, or I should say, I know agents who've been doing this 20 years who often don't know what they're doing. And you don't have to be a 20-year veteran to know what you're doing. You could be a brand new agent. But the question I have for you is, how did you build the trust? Because to be that transparent, the phrase that a lot of people hear in the sales industry in general is fake it till you make it. Not tell somebody, hey, this is my first day. That is like transparency to the extreme. So do you think that the way you build trust is by being incredibly transparent? Or, do you think was it just that that Adam came through, or maybe I should ask Adam. Adam, how did you decide, hey, I trust this guy even though he's brand new?
I think that's a great question. I think on the phone, he's like, yo, what are you looking for? And we're both in the car driving somewhere. I'm like, I just need someplace sunny, airy. Doesn't have to be big. I live alone, but I just need space to create and to cook because that's my happy place. And he said, well, why don't you come down? We'll go skiing and look at some houses. And so I think 2 days later, we meet and check out this place in Tethrow, which we're actually both in right now. Justin's in the living room. We're gonna go chip around after this call. But we looked at 3 spots, and right away, I was like, I like Justin. He's got nothing to hide. There's no agenda. He's a homie. We're just hanging out. We're hanging out. We're playing, like, when you go to IKEA with somebody and you just kind of play house. Like, that's what it felt like. Where we're like, how does this feel? Let's sit here. Would you talk? How would you go? Come stand here. Does this feel right? And it just...
You were able to operate on like a fun level of just, you weren't, because a lot of home buyers out there are listening going, what are these guys talking about? Buying a home is so stressed. Just thinking about buying a home is so stressed me out right now. And you're like, so super chill. This is amazing.
So that's exactly it. The stress. I used to draw homes as a kid. I've always thought about homes, and that brought so much stress because I'm 33, was 32 when I closed, and it's tough. It's tough being a millennial in this market, and you feel like you missed the boat. And so for years, we just lay in bed at night going, am I going to live it with my parents forever? Like, will I ever have a house? Like, how do I swing this? Anytime I made any advances on Zillow or Redfin or with a realtor and was looking at buying a houseboat in Seattle, like, every move I made would give me stress. And I think that's a good sign of, like, there's good stress and bad stress, and all the previous attempts were bad stress. And it was like, now is not the time. Just like, stay put, be pushed, stay put, be patient, hang tight. And I think meeting Justin, entering these spaces, and then the people Justin had in his court and everybody I was talking to, there was no stress. It was effortless. And I found this house, and right away it was like, this checks every box I have. I feel calm here. I could sleep here. I could take a nap right now. Like, no anxiety is keeping me awake or keeping me at bay from this, which I think made the decision to continue to advance each day like an absolute yes, right? Like, it seemed foolish to start to worry and say no to anything, because what I have thought about my entire life was just unfolding in such a smooth way. And I kept looking around going, is it this easy? Is it this easy to make this happen? Because I've tried, and it's always made me want to cry, but I don't want to cry. I'm like happy. So anyway,
then of like lots of false starts in other markets. I have to say, this is the most unusual, it's a lot less common for it to go this way, because what happens is you go, why is this so easy? What's wrong? It's like when you're dating and all of a sudden you're like, well, this person, it just works. And then you like get in your head about it, but you manage not to. So bravo for you not to get into your head. I want to ask Justin this question, because if you're able to make Adam feel this calm and cool and collected, do you think, is this like, has it since you've been doing it for a little while longer, have you found that other people react in the same way? And like, do I need to go visit you on the mountaintop to to come visit you and get some wisdom? It sounds like you're like the oracle here, dude.
I mean, Adam, he didn't get to the top of Mount Bachelor, which is where we ski here in Bend, because it was probably too windy when he came over. But I think, my approach right out of the gate with Adam was like, he's thinking about coming to Bend and making a move. And I'm like, great, do you ski? yes, I ski. Let's come to bed. Let's ski. I'll show you some houses. So, and that's real because I snowboard, but like I want to be on the mountain. And so that's definitely the approach I take with people is like, I'm a people first type of person and value relationships. And, the fact I think just in my mind, I just have made up my mind that regardless of whether Adam buys a house here or not, like I know I would love to go ski with him and be a part of his like process because Brian, I know and love Brian, and Brian was Adam's friend. So there's like this great web of friendship that exists that I'm fortunate to be in. And but going back to your question about fake it till you make it, I've always found that idea or notion to be kind of off-putting. Like I've heard it my whole life and I get it. I understand it to a degree, but I'm also like, if you just are hardworking and smart and you're surrounded by people who are hardworking and smart, which I am at Varsity, like that's my team, the owners, the operations director, the transaction coordinator, and all the other brokers, then like I'm good. Like I don't need to fake anything. Like I'm learning. And thanks, Adam, for letting me be a part of like learning how to become a great broker. So I hope that makes sense.
I have all these sort of like surface questions, but you just nailed it. You just nailed it in such a strong way. If somebody's listening right now, what the takeaway is, you want an agent like Justin. You want somebody who really is looking out for your best interests and is like, look, I am surrounded with resources. I know that either I'm going to find the answer or I know the answer, I'm going to find it. And, it's all about engaging with this person, like being really there with them. And then ultimately, like, we're going to figure this out together, or maybe it's going to take a longer time, or maybe it's not going to happen at all. But like to be present with the person that you're with, is going to generate the best result, which is like crazy for some time. You hear these agents and it's like knocking out transaction after transaction. It's about deal, deal, deal. And this is like such a completely different energy. It's what I talk about in my book. You want an agent who listens much more than they talk, and like just to listen to you. And like, there's so much space in between your words when you're talking. You started with this company, Varsity Real Estate. They pride themselves on, they said, expertise and personalized solutions. Were there some lessons that they taught you early on that you deployed, or was this really a result of the work you had done like prior? And I do want to get into ice cream, by the way.
Yeah. Love ice cream. I still eat a lot of it. I think with Adam's transaction, right, the home that he's in now that I worked with him to get into, I definitely had some great conversations with our founders, Sam and Cole, both of them along the way in terms of putting the offer together. And there was some back and forth with the sellers. And I definitely had some great insights from guys who've been in real estate for a long time. They were mostly like nuanced type, here's how to have this conversation, or here's how to approach that number. And but I've always loved people and been curious and willing just to like listen and be with people. And that's, that includes the broker on the other end of the transaction that, I just came into the deal right away going, okay, her and I are on the same team. We both want to see a deal come together, her for her sellers and me for Adam. And so coming into it even that way versus like, I've heard horror stories. I haven't experienced this yet, but like, I guess there's some realtors that are known as deal killers out there. I haven't had to work with one yet.
And by the way, it could be because you're putting out this energy that you're expecting everybody to kind of make this work easily. And like, you're expecting people to be on best behavior, and then somehow they rise to the occasion. I really find like, if you start with trust, it's not going to be perfect, but the chances that it comes together more easily are much, much higher. And I think starting with trust is not an easy place for a lot of people, and so I have a lot of compassion for people that show up and they're like, this is so nerve wracking. They're inclined not to trust anybody. But I don't want to leave Adam hanging what has living, the beginning was smooth. You felt comfortable. You felt like you could take a nap right out of the gate. What has been, what has this home taught you? And has it changed the way that you think of what home means to you in the context of moving to a new city?
It's a new house. It was built in 2020 or newer. But as soon as I moved in, the paint starts like cracking and peeling and the front door is falling apart. And so I'm also like, oh, curveballs. Okay, this costs more than I thought it would. Lesson number one. But then it's actually quite fun. It's a bunch of little puzzles, figuring it all out. And then you get to find friends and people who want to help because everybody likes to be a part of a project. So I'm gonna simmer on that question. I think there's I leave my front door open all the time. And I think like literally, figuratively, both, always just telling friends, because I just moved here. I don't know many people here, but I meet somebody out at a concert or a show or a barbecue and I say, hey, I live in the smallest house. I live in the tiniest house up in Tethrow. So next time you're biking to the trails, come by, the door's open. And it's been so nice because people actually they do stop by all the time. And I get to make them quesadillas and cook for them. And it's fun because I think there's a lot of, I think we all get really, really wrapped up in our identities. And sometimes you have to, let me rewind. I moved to Austin, Texas, which was really hard. I loved it. But in my brain, I was always like, no, I'm Tahoe. I ski. I ski on Saturdays. I climb on Sundays. I bike on Mondays. Like that's my happy place. And then I moved to Austin and I'm like, whoa, what do I do now? How do I hang out with people? How do I do these things that I love? And going, oh, I can put it on pause. I think I can pause these things. Just because I live here doesn't mean it's not important to me. It doesn't mean I'm changing. They're just on pause. They're on hold. And it's time to learn something new. And the past 3 or 4 years, I lived in a really small 1-bedroom in Seattle, which was awesome. But the oven didn't really work. The stove didn't really work. And I never had guests ever at all. And it broke my heart because I love to cook and show hospitality. And there was just this feeling of like, okay, just because I can't exercise it doesn't mean it's dead. Like it's there, it's dormant. Sharing, it'll come. And just holding out for knowing how you want to use a space and show hospitality and be inclusive and inviting and have guests. So I think that all of those thoughts, when Justin showed me this place, it all just clicked. It's like, oh yes, those were the scenarios we were going through of like, oh yeah, this is where I'm going to stand here. And Justin, you go sit there. I'm going to make you quesadillas. Do you want water? We're playing house.
There was no furniture in the place too. So it was like kind of awkward because we were like.
But I think this idea of this open house mentality, right? Like the house it reminded you how much you love that. And, that you sort of been yearning for that. Justin, by the way, you guys share this because you were talking about this idea of just sort of, hey, we're going to go ski. I'm going to show you around. Like the idea that you are like this welcoming presence in the town. I think that, a lot of agents, they're very hospitable inside the home when they're showing listing for an open house, but you took it to the next level. I do want to touch on the ice cream and I'm having so much fun. So I don't, it's, how did you learn a lot about hospitality, serving ice cream? I mean, who doesn't like to be handed a cone of ice cream? It's like the greatest thing ever. And now you get to, hand somebody a house. So it's like even better. But what did you learn from serving ice cream and how do you apply that to real estate?
I agree. I think people are genuinely in a very happy place when they're eating ice cream, whether it's like you're just a kid, getting handed a scoop and a cone at the farmer's market, or you're at a wedding. We do a lot of private events and catering. So it's a very happy place to be when you're eating ice cream. And I learned how to make ice cream at Penn State. I went to Penn State for a weekend. They got a 100-year-old ice cream makers course there right on campus. So I got to learn all about the science and the mixed manufacturing and all of that. But I've never been passionate about ice cream. I've just, again, been passionate about people. So I've kind of came into that space as well, thinking about like, what's the experience like for someone who's eating the ice cream? And obviously I like good ice cream. So worked to develop all the recipes and had a commercial kitchen and made the ice cream. And, but was never really passionate about that side of it. I just always thought about people's experience. And so, I think that's like the lens that I'm looking at real estate through too, is just like, I want the experience to be pleasant. I want it to be positive. I want to be a calming person, voice, presence in the room. But I love the experience.
Amazing. Well, guys, I'm so grateful for both of you. This is a conversation that really has opened my eyes and given me a lot to think about. And for everybody out there, I have to say again, if you find an agent who cares as much about your experience as someone like Justin, you are very, very lucky. Even if they're a new agent, this is somebody who is going to see you in a home that you're going to fall in love with and be really happy with. And ultimately, it's going to help your life expand as a result. Adam, you're really lucky to have been introduced to Justin, I have to say. And it sounds like you're having a good time in Bend. So I want to wish you lots of luck as your life expands from here. And thanks, guys, for being part of the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to reflect and think. I took a quick note. When you were talking about fake it till you make it, I think what was very apparent when I met Justin was there was a goal, a shared goal, but not an agenda. And I think that's what makes transactions like this feel so scummy, is this fear of being taken advantage of. And I think I never felt that with Justin. It was like, oh, you have my back. We're on the same team and we can explore this together. And there's no hidden agenda here. So just that trust right away is the key. So anywho, thank you, Justin. And thank you, Scott.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Make sure your agent is sharing your goal, but doesn't have an agenda hiding there. Love it. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Go enjoy I think you said you're going to play some golf. So have some fun.
Yeah, we're going to go putt and chip, Scott. So let us know when you're here in Bend. We'd love to get out with you, ski, golf, surf, fish, and we'll look you up when we're in New York.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. That's it for this episode of The Pursuit of Home. I hope today's conversation gave you insight, clarity, and maybe even a new way to think about your own home search. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a moment to follow, rate, and review the show. It really helps us reach more people on their own journey to home ownership. And when you're looking to dive deeper into your own home buying journey, don't forget The Pursuit of Home, a real estate guide to achieving the American dream, is now a national bestseller, and it's available wherever you buy your books. I share real-life strategies and insights to help you make empowered decisions in today's market so that you will find a house that supports you in every area of your life. The Pursuit of Home is proudly produced by Fame, the B2B podcast production agency. Find The Pursuit of Home on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to your podcasts. And if you want to connect, you can find me on social media or at magneticre.com. Until then, happy home hunting.